So there's been a lot of rhetoric lately saying that Donald Trump is a fascist. So I thought I would talk about what a fascist actually is. A fascist is a dictator, usually in a communist type country, which we are not. And they put their political opponents in jail. So let's look at what who rather has been trying to put Donald Trump in jail, and that is the Biden-Harris administration. For the last 4 years, they have been trying to bankrupt him, trying to put him in jail, and I think that this is just disgraceful that they would tell him that he's a fascist when they're the ones acting like fascists. It's just mighty rich, you know. Hey, Zach, how are you? So I was just talking about that Kamala Harris and Biden have been saying that Trump is a fascist, and I thought it would be helpful to explain what a fascist actually is. A fascist is a dictator, usually from a communist type country, that puts their political opponents in jail or kills them. So when we look at that description, it has been the Biden and Harris administration that have been trying to put Trump in jail. They tried to bankrupt him. Um, the ridiculous judge in New York fined him like 440 something $1 million. You know what's interesting about that? That's the exact amount that Donald Trump had in his account that was available to him. So, because when he filled out the financial form, he had to list every financial amount that was available to him, and that was the amount that was available in his political campaign. And I think it's just rich for the Biden and Harris administration to sit there and say that Trump is the fascist when they're the ones acting like the fascist. They're the ones trying to put him in jail. They're the ones trying to bankrupt him. They're the ones leading the charge to keep him from being on the ballot. And every single time is backfired, and they don't seem to get a clue that what they're doing is wrong. Even when James Carville called her campaign and told them they were making him a martyr, they needed to stop. And they they told him, "We know what we're doing," and hung up on him. Well, two things happened last Friday that I haven't talked about very much. Barack Obama called Kamala and ordered her off of the campaign trail. And you'll notice from last Friday until Sunday night, she did no campaign stops. And James Carville called her campaign and told them that they were causing a political landslide. No, I did not. um, he told him that they were looking at a political blowout, that Donald Trump was ahead in every battleground state. He was ahead in New Hampshire. He was ahead in New Mexico. He was ahead in, he was tied in Virginia. That means she can't win. She cannot win. She has to have Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin to win. She has to have all three. Trump is ahead by 5 in Michigan. He's ahead by 2 in Wisconsin, and he's ahead by, I think it's 6 uh, in Pennsylvania. Sean Spicer said this morning that his current tally for the projection for the Electoral College shows Trump with 312 plus Electoral College votes. Obama controls the Democratic Party. If he don't want a candidate, he can call them up and tell them no bueno. And her, I think that, no, I don't think so. Because she keeps pouring fire or gasoline on the fire of her opponent. Like she had held that rally at the Ellipse, and while she was holding the rally at the Ellipse and talking about all kinds of nonsense, you know, word salad stuff, um, Biden was at the Oval Office, and he gave a press conference, and he said that um, the people that support Trump are garbage. I really think he wants her to lose. I really think that he's doing what he can to cause her to lose. Because if you look at Sean Spicer's polling map, it shows that not only is Trump ahead in the popular vote, but he's ahead by 5 in all the battleground states. And as of this morning, Trump was ahead in Michigan by 2 points. Not Michigan, Minnesota. He was ahead in Minnesota by 2 points. And I find that to be really interesting because she purposely chose the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, who I have friends in Minnesota and they hate him, they despise him, said that he has ruined their state. Hey, Steph, we are talking about um, that Kamala Harris keeps calling Donald Trump a fascist when they're the ones acting like the fascist. I just think it's really rich that she is calling him a fascist, and yet her and Biden are the ones who have been trying to put Trump in jail, trying to bankrupt him, and all of that. And this is stuff that's done by communist dictators. And um, the recent polls show that Trump is ahead in all the battleground states. He's ahead in New Hampshire by 2. He's ahead in New Mexico by 1. He's tied in Minnesota. And then did a rally last night, and Biden did an interview where he said anyone that supported Trump was garbage. So I said, I really think that he wants her to lose, that he's doing what he can to make her lose. And Obama called her on Friday and told her to leave the campaign trail. So she didn't do any events from Friday until Monday. And then James Carville called her campaign and told them that they were facing a loss of blowout proportions. Yeah. I don't think that Kamala can win. I think that she keeps doing things to pour gas on her opponent's fire, because it's just really weird. You know, she had that rally at the Ellipse, which would have been a good rally for her. And she started talking about all this word salad junk. And at the same time she was talking that, Biden says that Trump supporters are nothing but garbage. And I think that she's in for a loss, and that she doesn't realize she's in for a loss. Also, Steph, have you seen Candace Owens' deep dive into Kamala's background? Um, Candace Owens did a great deep dive on Kamala's. Welcome, Simon. Candace Owens did a deep dive on Kamala's ancestry. And I really like Candace, and I didn't know that she was really into genealogy and stuff like that. She has had Kamala's relatives in Canada calling her and giving her information about Kamala's background. I find that interesting. And Kamala talks about uh, being raised as a middle-aged, or not a middle-aged, middle, like middle income family in LA. That's false. She was born in LA, but then they moved to Montreal, Canada, and she grew up in an affluent suburb of Montreal, Canada. her dad and her mom both have lots of money. So I think it's just rich that yeah, I think a lot of women are scared, but they're scared because they're being given the wrong information. Um, Trump held held a press conference the other day from Mar-a-Lago, and he had the mom, the mom of Colonel G, that was uh, unalived in um, Afghanistan when they left Afghanistan, and she said that she found out what Donald Trump said to the Taliban because after her daughter-in-law, you know, didn't make it out, that she made it her business to find out what he said. She said he told the leader of the Taliban, if you harm one hair on the head of an American soldier, I will kill you. And then took and put a picture of the dude's house down on the table in front of him. And he said, why are you handing me a picture of my house? He said, you'll figure it out soon enough. Yeah, I like Judge Joe Brown. Yeah, Kamala is not black. Her dad is half Irish and half Indian, but he was born in Jamaica, but he is not black. And her mom is is Indian. No, I don't speak French. I speak English. Yeah, I love Judge Joe. Judge Joe just tells it how it is. If you don't like it, too bad. But I think it's just rich. These people tell Trump that 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 he's the fascist when they're the ones acting like the fascists, aren't they? They're the ones trying to put him in jail, trying to bankrupt him. That's all stuff that's done by communist countries, and we are not a communist country. We don't. Okay, is that better? Do I have sound now? Okay, good. I have two of them little microphones and I lost one, so I keep recharging that one. Yeah. See, I did a video the other day and I said that Donald Trump has remade the Republican Party and made it the party of the people. He's brought in RFK Jr., Tulsi, Elon, JD Vance, Vivek, Tucker, Alina Habba. I think Alina Habba should be our next attorney general. Yeah, I watched parts of it. I have to go back and watch the rest of it. I like Vance. Okay, Vance is a Marine. You know, him and Vivek are best friends. Vivek introduced Vance to his now wife. They went to law school together. So, Steph, what don't you like about JD Vance? Yeah, I think that in 2028 it's going to be JD Vance and Vivek. Name changes. I'm not aware of any of his name changes, Steph. Well, I think that he is the right guy because he can debate. Did you see that debate with him and Tim Walz? That was a brutal takedown of Tim Walz. His name is John David. They didn't say I agree with you the whole time. Um, he was, what's the right word? He wasn't uh, belligerent towards him. He showed how that he agreed with him on some things, disagreed on others, but the things that I will, I don't think you're being negative, my friend. I don't think you're being negative at all. Yep. See, one of the reasons why I think that Trump picked JD is because he's he's a Marine. And Democrats do not want a Marine near the White House. And he has put this, I'm calling it a coalition team together that is going to change the Republican Party. See, the Democrat Party used to be the conservative party. They used to be the big tent party. I can remember when I was a kid, JFK was a conservative Democrat. He was a conservative Democrat. He would not be able to get elected today as a Democrat. And I think it was very, very good. I think it's very good that we are bringing different minds together under one party so that we can have a different, not really point of view, but we can have differing is the right word, differing points of view. um, Now, I initially supported Nikki Haley because, see, Nikki Haley, some call her a neocon, but she stands on her principles. I like a person who stands on principles. She's always been against corporate bailouts for companies. She got a seat on the board at Boeing, and the CEO came to her and said that he was going to get a corporate bailout and they were going to do all this stuff in it. And she picked up a piece of paper and she said, "Here, I resign." She said, "I have never been for corporate bailouts. I won't work for a company that wants one," and tendered her resignation and walked out the door. Right. I agree, Steph. And see, Kamala and the Democrats want wars and more wars. And something that not a lot of people know is that about 3 weeks ago, Joe Biden gave Ukraine the green light to attack targets deep within Russia. The issue with Kamala Steph is her dad is a Marxist economics professor. Her dad has tons of money. And she's trying to say that she grew up in this middle income family when her dad and mom were both rich. And I don't understand how she gets away with running for president when she didn't grow up here. She grew up in Montreal. Yeah, I'm a veteran and I'm not in favor of wars. I think that war should be for a last resort option only. And you go in, you win, you get out. You don't sit there for years and years and years and say, well, we can help them build this and we can help them do that. No. I understand, Steph. But if you'll notice, Trump has completely different people around him this time. He got, the way I look at it is his last administration, while he got a lot of good stuff done, he got hoodwinked by people that weren't out for his best interest and the best interest of the country. I agree with that statement, Steph. It doesn't concern us to not vote red. It concerns you and me both for the fight we face in the future. Because believe me, the communists and the Democratic Party are not over. Because even though it looks like they will lose in a blowout this time, that doesn't mean they'll just give up and take their cards and go home. They will come back. And it will interest me to see who else runs. I have a feeling that Tulsi will run. I like Tulsi. I think that she should be Secretary of Defense. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that we're going to have to fight, but with the team that Trump is putting together, he wants to end wars, not create wars. I understand, Steph. You know, I will say some prayers for you and your kids. You know, God will keep them safe. And I'm glad to see you say, I am ready, because we don't know. Yes, you are. It depends on the state you live in. Like, I lived in Florida. Florida has stand your ground rules um, that I wish all states had, where if someone comes on your property and you have a sidearm, you can take them out and you can say, they came on my property, they were advancing towards me with a weapon, and I was defending my property. They'll investigate it and turn you loose. But I live in Montana now, and Montana, I really like it here. Yeah, Montana's open carry, um, concealed carry. Um, I have to look up what else. Yeah, I live in southeast Montana. I live in Miles City. I'm 57 miles from the South Dakota border. Yeah, Zach lives close to you, Steph. I think Zach lives by Pittsburgh. So you're in Monongahela, huh, Steph? When I drove a truck, I used to love driving through the Monongahela Valley. Wow, that's cool. I used to deliver on the north side of Pittsburgh, right off the river. And then I'd go around the backside of Pittsburgh and go back to the interstate. And I always loved that area. That's what also drew me to this area here where I'm at. Haitians. Yeah, that's how I feel about where I live, Steph. I live in the most gorgeous area. Can't even go to Walmart anymore. Well, the town I live in is literally 2 miles by 3 miles. We have a Walmart and we have everything that you would need right here in town. We have everything right here. The only thing, well, they have a lumber yard here, and their prices are pretty reasonable. I make custom knives as a hobby, and I bought this 2 foot piece of 1x4 poplar. Cost me $3.55. $3.55. Yeah, that dog and cat issue is an issue that, from everything I've read, is only going on in Springfield, Ohio. It has to do with, and it's not really that they're eating them, it's voodoo sacrifices, which is disgusting. My cousin Dale, he owned he owned 50 acres in southern Illinois, and he used to find their sacrifices on his property. It was just so horrible, just horrible. They would nail the dog's paws to a board and then skin it alive. He would hear the screams and go after him with his pistol. He said it was always too late for the poor dog. Yeah, I know. It just awful. Me and Dale, tell you a story about me and Dale. We grew up together. Well, grew up south of Chicago, but he grew up on near my grandma's farm in southern Illinois, and he had a 1967 Camaro RS, and I would go down there in the summertime, and we'd go racing. He'd take the seats out, set them in the garage, and then he took the passenger seat out And he said, okay, you ready to go? And I said, well, where am I going to sit? He said, oh, okay, hold on. You go get a milk crate and put a milk crate in there. And I sat in a milk crate and I had the best time. Oh, 69 Roadrunner. That's an awesome car. That's an awesome car. the, one of my favorite movies is Bullet. A 67 Mustang against a 67 67 Charger. That's a good movie. Cool. Yeah. There's an interesting story about Joey's Corvette. That Corvette belonged to Jill's ex-husband, and she got it in their divorce, and Joey kind of took it over. How funny is that? Her her ex talks about how the two of them met. See, Jill was the babysitter for Joe's kids. Jill divorced her husband and married Joey. Yeah, yeah. And they've showed pictures of her back then. She was a looker back then. Yeah, I should get ready and go pay some bills. My check is going to be deposited in a few minutes. This has been fun. We'll have to do this again, Steph. I'll work on a topic for, well, I work on topics during the YSL trial. My personal opinion is the trial is done. I listened to Justice Served tonight with Linda Kinney Bodden. And Linda Kinney Bodden's and her friend Michael said that there's 3 defendants remaining. If any of the 3 take a deal, the case is done. And it's rumored, which I don't like to get into rumor and gossip, but sometimes it's interesting. It's rumored that that Brian is working on a deal. Brian said that the only deal that he would accept was no felonies and time served. And Doug said that there will be no deals for DeMonte Kendrick because DeMonte Kendrick is actually innocent. And I don't know if Max is working on a deal for Shannon Stillwell. It would seem like it because the guy that took the deal yesterday, it was him and Shannon Stillwell that were involved in that murder, and they pled him out and dropped the murder charge, which everybody's saying this is a big win for Fannie. That's a loss. Even though he copped to the RICO charge, they dropped all the other charges, and the murder charge was one of the ones that they dropped. Linda Kenny Bodden said that they cannot bring these pleas into the case at all. She said that when the jury comes back, they will simply be told that some of the defendants have taken care of some business, and they'll be told nothing, that they are to, what was the word she used? Like they were not to concern themselves over the fact that 3 of the defendants are now missing. Because we have Thug, we have Shannon Stillwell, and we have Yak Gotti. That's the only 3 that are left. It's going to be interesting tomorrow morning to see if any of the others come up with deals. Yeah, I agree, Steph. I agree with that. I think Yak and Thug are going to walk. Yeah. 3 of the defendants took plea deals. 1 took one yesterday and 2 today. So when the jury comes back next week, there's going to be 3 defendants of the 6 that are no longer in the courtroom. The jury cannot be told about the plea deals because it's prejudicial. It'd be an automatic mistrial with prejudice. They cannot bring up that they are in jail. That's what blew up this whole thing last week. ADA Hilton had the witness read from the unredacted copy, and he said she kept asking him to read the next hashtag, and he read off the paper that she handed him. It said free Quay. They had just had a sidebar, like not 30 minutes before that, where Miss Westmoreland said that that was a problem that needed to be redacted. And I thought that even though Judge Whitaker has some issues, some biases, yeah, she did it on purpose, because she handed him the unredacted copy. And even Judge Whitaker said, why didn't you take a few minutes to redact what you were told to redact? You handed him the unredacted copy. That's what Judge Whitaker was so ticked off about last week, that she watched her hand him the unredacted copy and ask him to read from it. and kept telling him, keep reading, keep reading. And see, one of the other things that I read about last night is that there is a motion to recuse in the works. If this trial goes forward, one of the attorneys is going to file a motion to recuse because of her evident bias when she told Hilton, I'm tired of fixing your mess. It is not her job to fix anything. And if she views it as that much of a mess, she's supposed to rule a mistrial. Yeah, it's called goading. It's called goading a mistrial. And even though the judge didn't think that it was goading, when you go back and look at the videotape, it was deliberate. She was goading the mistrial because she kept telling him to keep on reading. Right. That's right, Steph. It's not really a manipulations act. She did it on purpose. I watched her hand him the unredacted paper. The redacted form was on the screen right in front of him. She handed him the paper and had him read off of the unredacted paper. That is on purpose. And it's not really manipulating. It's she's doing this on purpose. That's why it's called goading. It's called goading a mistrial. And it's cumulative because this is not the first time she's done shit like this. ADA Hilton. It's purposeful, and it's knowingly, and it's prosecutorial misconduct. I read today that Love has charges up against her against the Georgia bar, from the prosecutorial, what do they call it? The prosecutorial judicial. It's the Judicial Conduct Board. It governs judges and prosecutors. They have charges that have been filed against Love. Yeah, 88 Whitaker is right. Sometimes it's good to have a judge that knows the law, but the judge that I actually like is Judge Krause. Judge Krause tore into Miss Monroe, the attorney for Fannie, against Ashley Merchant because they were trying to say that they are not privy to the Open Records Act and all of this stuff. And Judge Krause just interrupted her and told her, we are here because you have a records custodian who created a Ashley Merchant rule, which means that they will give the information to anyone but Ashley Merchant. But if Ashley Merchant asks for it, they want to know why she needs it and all this other stuff. She said, it's not your business. She said his job as the records custodian, when somebody calls in with a records request, is to see if they have it and give it to them. She was pissed because he got up there on the stand and he acted like a complete ass, almost yelling at Ashley. And Judge Krause did not like it at all. But I don't see him losing his job or anything. No, they don't. They have two completely different jobs. They have completely different jobs. A prosecutor's job is to provide justice for the victim. The defense attorney's job is to defend his client against what the prosecutors are saying. They don't work together. At least they're not supposed to. Yeah, they hate each other in Fulton County is right. Brian Steele has said in open court, he said, I tried to work with every prosecutor to get a fair trial. He said, but I will not talk to Miss Love. He said, and I hate that I have to say that, but I will not talk to her. And then when they had Monk Tunk's hearing last week, I thought it was really disgraceful that when they were putting him in handcuffs to lead him off, that Love was sitting there smiling. What kind of an evil person smiles because someone's being put in jail? Yep, I understand, Steph. Yeah, they're supposed to work together, but oh, well, I'm going to get off of here. Thanks, Steph, for coming on. I'll get a I'll work on a YSL live stream for tomorrow evening, and we'll see how many people we can get over from YSL. Okay, Steph. Yeah, Fulton County is one of the most corrupt counties in the country. My surgery was a complete success. My hands don't tremor anymore. We'll talk about my surgery tomorrow night, and I'll let you know how much better I'm doing. I'm grateful to have you as a friend, Steph. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you. Good night, guys and girls.